Hey guys, it's Rachel from Hamari's Stolen Perfume. Today I spent most of the day racking ferments to get ready for the Tar and Roses perfume that I've been working on, which was really exciting because one of the experimental ferments that I did, which was strawberry, was like popping. And you just never know with fermentation, and with things you haven't fermented before in the exact kind of way that I'm working, how it's going to turn out. So I was so thrilled about that. So I thought to celebrate, why not have some 2017 Palo Scavino Barolo. Palo Scavino is a family-owned winery, in this case from father to son. This is the 2017 Barolo. He's got actually the signature of the winemaker on the bottle, which is kind of great. And the reason I wanted to try this particular Barolo today is, while the Tar and Roses project is an exploration of some of these classic Barolo notes and Barolo pairings, tar and roses. This has everything from cassis to cedar to orange blossom that reviewers that I really respect have listed as an aromatic note. So I'm very curious to see how much of that pops out in the glass and how much of it develops over time, So it's just kind of exciting, although any day that I drink Barolo is exciting. I probably haven't even shared on one of these videos the entire story of how I fell in love with this wine. I was a waitress, and we had a Nebbiolo by the glass, not even a Barolo. So Nebbiolo is the grape that is in a Barolo wine, and I just fell in love with it, not just for the aromatic notes, but for what it does on the palate. And it's very surprising that I fell in love with it because it's such a high tannic wine. And I'm not like running crazy with the Malbecs and the Cabs unless they are specific with a food pairing. I like my lighter, bright things very frequently because that's often what I can food pair with. I don't eat meat, so I have small amounts of Cabernet and things. But Barolo is a love affair of another ilk for me. So after I discovered this Nebbiolo that we had by the glass, of course I wanted to taste more. I didn't even know that Nebbiolo was the grape that that made Barolo. I had never heard of something called the Barolo Wars, which if you have not heard of, I will get into that later on. I had no idea how enamored and how this wine would change my life and my perspective on wine and everything. And a number of years ago, when after I, had my own wine program, and so, had Barolo on the list, I was at this huge wine tasting that had the most extensive amount of Barolos that I've ever tried in my entire life. And I was able to try a whole lineup of these beautiful, beautiful Palo Scavinos, one of which was probably about $600 a bottle if you'd purchased it. And it was like angel singing, like life-changing, kind of incredible, just beauty in a glass. So, okay, before I get too deep into the aromatics, I want you to look at the color here. So this is a classic garnet, but it's not as orange. So what happens to a Barolo over time is it's gonna get a little like orange, more garnet in color. You also kind of want to look at a little bit of the rim variation, which is kind of hard to tell in the light. So just some interesting markers of Barolo. Okay, so with this, I'm of course first getting that cherry and rose classically, moving down to like can definitely, of course, it's suggestible, right? The cedar was suggested to me, so that's why I don't usually read the taste notes or aromatic notes beforehand, as I want to really know in the experience what is popping out to me. And of course, I actually, in this, I can get a little orange blossom, I definitely get more rose. It's funny, there is something I identify as the tar, of the Barolo, which I now associate with oud resin, because that's what I've been working with in the perfume itself. So it's just kind of wonderful to see this in the glass. And I'm going to go in for a sip. Cheers. Oh my God. Okay, that is just... So, Nebbiolo, which is so named, well actually there's two opinions. One for the cloud cover that during the harvest in October just drifts in and out. But there are some people who also think that it is from it being a noble grape, Nebbiolo, noble grape. Anyway, the Barolo Wars that I was telling you I was going to get back to, it's sort of an interesting topic, especially for us perfumers, where there are so many ancient traditions and new tweaks on that. So from about 1800 to 1980, Barolo was always done in the same traditional way. It was an incredibly high tannic, kind of austere wine, actually, that really didn't develop that magic, that complexity until it was experiencing significant age. But in about 1980, some of the winemakers within Langhe and Piemonte were inspired by some of the, new crazy stuff going on in California, and they wanted something that the consumer could drink right away. And so they started changing some of those old practices, which broke up families, and depending on which of the 11 villages that are allowed to create Barolo within that DOCG in Italy you go to, you have to be very careful what you say, because people still are pretty serious on this topic. But what the newer way of making Barolo did, in addition to changing the maceration style and some differences in oak, is it really brought to the foreground these floral, beautiful, classic, rose dipped in tar aromatics that is the thing that is so spectacular about this wine that made me fall in love with it. Because very few people get the opportunity to taste some of these like aged, sort of ancient tradition, classic Barolos, right? This actually made it a little more accessible to people. But I'm not crazy enough to take a stance on this, but I'm definitely enjoying what's in my glass right now. But Barolo is also not alone within the Piemonte region. Not only are there an amazing amount, of course, of native varietals to Italy. Do not even get me started. Please, people, stop drinking Chardonnay and drink some Arnaise or something. I swear, please. And I'm going to be a little cheesy right now, but it's known as the King of Wines. Barolo is known as the King of Wines. And the fact that there was the Barolo Wars, which, by the way, again, people still take pretty seriously, and there's an amazing documentary on it, sort of says to you how significant this wine is. But there's also a queen, which is Barbaresco, which is a little bit more even gentle on some of those classic Barolo notes on the floral, and just softer in general. Now, I don't believe that scent or tasting notes are male or female, but I do love this story, and I do love thinking of Barolo as the king of wine. But if you guys are watching and you have a favorite Barolo or Nebbiolo that comes from someplace else, not Italy, that you think is amazing and that I should try, please leave it in the comments below, because this is a huge scent exploration for me. I want to stumble across things that I haven't before while I'm on this journey and while I'm still blending and letting all my like whole ferments and ingredients work together. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if you have something amazing, and cheers. And I hope your week is going so well that there is some Barolo in it for you.